Cool.
This meeting is being recorded.
Right, the time now is 9:15 a.m, so that's 6:15 p.m, and it's Saturday the 3rd of September. This is the Confederation of United Tribes of New Zealand flag jurisdiction, King's Porch, Kent. Native King's Bench hearing. Over to you then, John.
Okay, thank you very much, Andy, and the ones that are here tonight on the Zoom hearing, and some others that were going to come in. They've been talking to me earlier. They might have a bit of trouble getting onto the Zoom, but however, we'll just leave it at that, and hopefully that they can get on. One from, both of them from Raglan, and Waikato here for that Punga Punga Marae and Mangataki Mountain, that area. Those two can sort that lot out. Next week on the Zoom hearing, we got the Cook Street case and the titles to the country up north and at Waikato. So that's coming up. I'll just run a little bit of it. I'm just going to read off what I wrote down, some notes here, and then we can play a clip of the Tokalo chief there with Liz Gunn and what's happening there in the lockdown, and the girl, the young girl, that's I want you to hear, just to set the mood in the hearing right, because it's about those people on Tokalo, to help them with a court case in this Native Magistrate King's Bench Court. The only way to do it was this way, to sort out all that's going on there, and the reasons why the government is so hell-bent on vaccinate people in the islands and New Zealand at the same time, when there's no flu or any history of COVID, that sort of thing in the islands. So there, I just want to try and keep away from talking about the jab so much, but just what's happening to the people. So I'll just go from number one. What we are talking about tonight is the churches are behind a cabal criminal organization to control the world with money they make from the use and abuse of the Admiralty maritime law of the Dutch king emperors, who we portray as higher authority and of Admiralty mortgage lien with our flag. So that's the reason why they are using the Admiralty to make all their wealth and money, that they can do anything they like, not really without the law going back on top of them from us. Number two is the Catholic Church Pope, Latter-day Saints Church leader, Elder Victor Halleck, and Mormon Church. Those are involved in this document of Rothschilds at the back of the 326 page, but I never got to go and highlight all the points through it to pick them out. Only some. I have identified some of the offences in this court hearing, why we are putting them on trial tonight. All those people and the photos there are stuck there with reason behind the takeover of our country and a threat on our lives here. Number four is the Queen's Bench Court scam. After the King's laws, altered the King's laws to make Parliament above the common law of kings. So they're doing that. A silent king in their courts is silent no more, with us taking the gag off and putting our authority on top of them. So number five, all paedophiles, paedophilia, corruption is Rothschild, Queen's Bench Court, bank laws. So that's at the back of the agenda tonight, and the red warrant. You can see that there. We charge each pirate in the court tonight. And number two, 1 trillion pounds to prove the fraud, with no response to allegations created our Native Magistrate Court King's Bench law of debt control and recovery. So that's what we're doing here. We're sticking the debt right on top of them for what we have identified as a mass murder case of what they're doing to dumb down people and lock them up and put them in quarantine, all those sort of things. So number 7 is how the Crown Rothschilds control the money of New Zealand through churches and parliaments, manipulation of laws, because the City of London, separate corporate country, sovereign controls Westminster Parliament. So they've got a grip on Westminster Parliament. That's all at the back of the book. And I've got to add some more to it next week, but that's all I could do this week was enough to go on. So they're a criminal organization. Number 8 is how to bankrupt the corporation company using multi-propria, Pope's law and King's flag law with the capital punishment countries. There's 20 of them I've got listed in that book. 20 countries of extreme capital for anybody that breaks the laws of the sovereign people of the land and threatens them and threatens the country with a foreign government. So that's those countries. We use China. They've already executed 1,000 people through going against the government. So they're going against us. The government here is going against us and threatening our lives and our bodies and all of that sort of thing. So laws for mass murder, Jacinda Ardern, WEF, World Economic Forum, control of our people by taking out the native people and putting Maori there, Maori word, the word, not the Maori people, the word, and altered all the legal documents of the British government. That's the offence in this court tonight, altering the whole history, the whakapapa, the titles, the everything that they've done since 187 years of saying Maori were there in 1769 and 1831. That was last week's court hearing, where I identified how they put the word Maori back then. That's criminal offence of the breaking of the code, the criminal code, in last week's hearing and tonight's hearing again on Jacinda Ardern and the churches that are heavily involved in their corporate private business. That's all it is. They're in it for the business. The Ardern family are in it for their business to control the Pacific Islands. Ian Ardern, he's the president of the Pacific Islands and Samoa, and also now the Africa. So he's got control of all the native people, and Jacinda Ardern puts down the law here, and Ross Ardern is gone off Tokelo now, so he's run away. They will all run away. You'll see Jacinda run off soon, so we're after her now before she runs away, and they've got a habit of running away from what they've done to violate the laws that they have and our laws, the British laws of Admiralty that got them on the land in the first place. So we've got Ardern, we've got land titles that split Maori from Moai, natural, native, to catch Jacinda and her Maori pirates. So the iwi Maoris are behind her and their private corporations, cabal family, Rothschilds, commercial contract business against us. So there, Jacinda and her Maori pirates, surnames in power of politics and iwi Maori corporations who are only in their own business with no New Zealand crown floating in thin air. So they're just doing what they're doing in Parliament while they've got a chance without any Queen or any authority from Britain. So they're really flying in mid-air with what they're doing. Trevor Mallard was the Speaker of the House. He's going to Ireland to steal their laws of a republic and bring it here to make New Zealand a republic underneath their private corporations' business. And the new Speaker of the House is another one of them Maoris. His name is Adrian Rurife. So that's the 53rd Parliament on faith. They go on faith, whānau, and politics. That's their slogan of this new Speaker of the House. If you could see something in what he's saying, what he's there for, no, he's there for their private business of the Maori and the Pākehā. Design all of this and use Maori, scapegoat Maori, and Maori get nothing out of it, only their Maori business and their Maori land court and all the rest of it. 326-page writ warrant, decree, injunction, void law. So that's what we got in those pages. Jacinda's not replied to my allegations of corruption and fraud, corporate private business, JAB, and something else. So and all, JAB and all. So they'll put all those terrible things together with Klaus Schwab, the leader of and the designer of the World Economic Forum, to control the whole world and people, and all their titles and everything. They'll seize and take them off you. We are dealing with murderers tonight, caught in the act and run away. So that's that. We want to catch them now in this court and put this affidavit video together as ammunition to dissolve them and put them out of business and bankrupt them. Won't get far. They won't get far from the crowd who will go after them, thugs, playing with your lives and bodies to kill you off the native lands. Well planned, but you must know now that the trick was the word Maori and iwi to replace the native with a Pākehā landowner and no more natives. So in the Pacific and the world, no thanks to the churches, Catholic Church of England, Latter-day Saints, Mormon Church, connected to the Rothschild family at the back of the book. You can read it all in there. It's all there. And Queen Bench Court, London, silenced the King's Bench Court, no more. We've taken the gag off and taken the silence off, and we're speaking out and going up against them with the real laws of Britain, UK, and not second-hand laws that they have. So that's that. That's a summary of what we're going to go through tonight. But first of all, I want to just say there's no chance of anybody coming in while I'm doing the court hearing to have any say, because it's beyond their depth. And anybody that hasn't been in it longer than a year, have just come out of thin air and come into something like this, is mistaken, because it's too much information to just drop something in the middle of it and try and say something like Kate Frost. You can't come in here and start yapping about Queens and about how she wants to be with a king. No way. This is just straight Admiralty law, mortgages, liens, and contract law. You don't know contract law, you're in the wrong court, because this is where the contracts started first in Akuhata up in Russell, and then Helensville, and then so on. So that's what we're doing here as a real estate agent myself, or not an agent, a salesman, to know how land titles go together. So that's what Maori don't know. They haven't researched all the laws of how people got the land and transfer, sell it, and all of that through Admiralty. So they go the other way. They go way against the Admiralty. The King set it up for us, but the Queen, she frauded it and corrupted the whole legal system of the kings to transfer land to the crown and give the benefits back to the people in the common law court. So the common law court cannot contest in Admiralty court, because they have no laws of money. This is a money law court and business that transfers the wealth through the court into the crowns in England from the crown in New Zealand, and this crown just does all the conveyancing and everything, and takes their little cut out of it and sends it to the British crown, the Rothschilds, looking after that crown, that we're after his crown, and do the same to him with these laws, because he got them out of this King's Bench court to get his wealth. And so we go this little crown and get rid of that little crown and go after the big crown next week with the land. So getting Cook Street is going to dissolve the whole of the corporations one shot. Once you get one piece of land with all the laws that got that piece of land in the first place sorted, take the Maori out, because they put the Maoris in. The government in Wellington designed the Maori tribe to put the Maoris in and replace the native. So we're putting the native back in to replace the Maori on the documents, just on the documents. You can stay Maori if you like, but you got to stay in that contract with the Queen, and she's gone now, so you got no Queen in your contract. Where are you going to go? You're going to make your own Queen up, or go to the King of Tainui to hate you, but he's in this court. His photo can't get it off. They can't take their photos off this court. So somebody's saying, don't touch what's here, what we're saying, because it's correct in the British law system. So there, anything they say about the British is just going to end up back on the British again, to dissolve all their titles on the land. It's your land, the sovereign people, and what you want to call yourself, Maori, and the hapu. It's your land, all you people's land, but not the document, not the transfer survey title that the Freemasons put the survey title to sell the land in through the magistrate court into the bank, into the government, into the Crown in Britain. So we've got control of that law right through from when it started. Go back, follow the ship backwards, and you'll find the other end waiting for us with the right whakapapa, the right document, the right transfer, the right chiefs. That's what we're doing now. We're going after the right chiefs to put on the documents. We only need 3 from Waikato and 3 up north. So I'll choose them because I'm a native assessor to make that job complete, because I won't let anybody else pick them, because they'll pick their own one and it'll be the wrong surname. That's for real. There's plenty of those native old names to pick, not a Maori name, because that's a white man doing that. That's the Pākehās in Wellington, not all the other good Pākehās, but the ones in politics, in the parliament, that set that up. Now they got plenty of Maoris in the parliament. Like before, they had no banned Maoris from being in parliament. Now they've flooded the whole place out, including the Speaker of the House, that Maori guy, that can make law straight away by what he says, and passes the act through. So they're very cunning to put their Maoris in place. So we've got this court case to dissolve their Maori in the court, not the Maoris out there, outside, who are confused about all of this. You leave them alone to pick where they want to go. The Maoris can go anywhere they like, but they can't come in a King's Bench court with the name Maori, because it won't work. See, so they have to stay in the Maori court, or the government's Te Ture Whenua Act, and stay there and keep practicing that and stuck in there in the government in Wellington, and make deals with them, not in this court. So that's that. Hello, Quentin Sinman. You've been watching for a while now, and welcome to the Zoom tonight and the hearing. So that's that. Now, after saying that, I want to play the clip now of the girl. I'll just start off with the Tokoro girl, the young girl, when their family moved to Tokoro from here to get away from the bad jab. It found there was a bad jab over there too. So they got nowhere. Now they want to take the kids off. The father wants to take the kids off back here. And because it's lax over here, it's not as stringent as Tokoro, because they all have to get the jab. So I'm going to play it now and take the camera and up here, switch it around here, and hold it and play the video. I won't take too long. I just wanted to get the feel of the people there, of what they're going through. Hang on, just hold on.
House arrest in Tokelau. She's been there for months and months, her with her family. She's desperate
Can
to
you
be
hear?
released and get out, but we need more people to know what's actually going on. Her video's about to play now, so
Yes, we
please
can, John.
an email
Hey,
the address
okay.
in
Yes,
the
we
video
can hear.
because we can get her and her family free.
I just
from
want to show a
captivity.
bit of it.
Kia ora, Chantal. Thank you for allowing our voice to be heard on your platform. My name is Shipsi Patalihio. I was born in Wellington Hospital. Both my parents are Tokelauan, which makes me a New Zealand citizen. 5 years ago, my family and I moved over here in Nukumono, Tokelau, when my parents were born. I was 14 years old when my parents and brother were house arrested on August the 3rd, 2021 for not consenting to the Pfizer injection. I, on the other hand, was house arrested 4 months later on December 22nd. Rosa Dern is the administrator of Tokelau. Now it's Don Higgins. Both of them have done absolutely nothing to stop our situation. There was also no COVID on island. Our situation has been changed from being called house arrest to house isolation, as if it makes any difference. Why would we need to be isolated when there's nothing to isolate from? Being restricted from going anywhere as a 15-year-old is just unbelievable. Never in my entire life have I ever thought that my family and I would be in this sort of situation. We're currently awaiting a review. They said it would take place in June. It's the 1st of July. So I don't know what's happening. But we have been unofficially informed that we would still be on house arrest for another 6 months until we comply. Thank you for your time and interest.
So that's just a feel for her. I feel sorry for her and her family being split up and put out by this Ardern family and the church and the government here in New Zealand, doing that to those people that never had any flu or anything like that, to put this whole poison in them and force poison them. And these people who didn't want it are getting thrown stones at their house, and some places set fire to their house to tell them to get the jab. So that's bad. I'm just going to go to the next video to show a little bit of that, of Liz Gunn and one of the chiefs there. It's good for you to hear them.
Just to catch up today to see how you are. You have an urgent need for help from New Zealanders. And welcome in Julie Sausauli, who is on Atafu. Julie, I'll be talking to you in a moment, but I just need to focus on Mahelina for now. You have got something very urgent, Mahelina. What's going on?
Well, this is again communicated unofficially. We are being denied any more phone credit on account of our last talk.
On account of the interview that you did with me?
Yes.
What did they say?
The main reason they emphasized that I might have jeopardized the relations between New Zealand and Tokelau, specifically about the infrastructure projects that they're looking at.
Well, that would be an absolute disgrace if this government were to go to that. If this government were to use that as a way to strong arm you, to bully you. That is not how a good New Zealand government behaves. And I can tell the elders on that island, that is not what New Zealanders will allow. How dare they take this to some kind of diplomatic level crisis? This is an humanitarian crisis. A human being has been held inside his house and needs help. So, Mahalino, I'm so sorry that that has been used against you.
Yeah, well, basically I see it as we're coming from the saving lives and they're worried about infrastructure. You know, that to me is incredibly, it's beyond words.
All of it is just horrifying. Let's cut straight to the chase, Mahalino. People can watch the other interview and see your dire straits, the lockdown, the bullying, the coercion. Please, I appeal to the leadership on your island. Please find your humanity. You will have to live with your decisions that you make on your deathbed. This will haunt you. Whichever way you go, it will either be a reward if you stand up and do the right thing by this family. It'll be a reward and a sense of peace on your deathbed. But if you follow the New Zealand government and the bullying they are doing, and you respond in a way that is bullying to this good family, this will haunt you to the rest of your days. So, Mahalina, what can we do in New Zealand? It seems to me that the political pressure is really being brought to bear on your leadership. Do we need a group of lawyers? This is what I said for the other people on that tafu. It seems you need lawyers urgently to help you.
Yeah, it's gone beyond our control, really. Again, this is basic free speech, which well, we're basically in China over here, the way I see it.
Mahalino, what about getting you communications so we can keep in touch? How can we help you with that? How can we get you communications? Do we need a satellite phone urgently? We need to raise money for you to get you a satellite
I'll just
phone,
move it along a bit
like
and try and hear a little bit more of it.
But Liz, my wife's even gesturing that we're very reluctant to take people's money because it's not easy there at all either, and we know how hard it is. But this exposure, I think they've got we've got their attention.
Yes,
that's the main thing.
And they need to know that we are watching. And if they cut you off from all comms and I can't get through to you and interview you, I will continue to do stories about you and about the horror. Do you ever have thought this could have come to Tokelau? Ever?
I'll just move along a little bit more just to get through it, and that'll be enough.
If I said yes, I would. Nobody would believe me. No, but I thought, no, I'm like Whawhetai.
What has it been on a tafuta? You were locked down for 10 months, weren't you? Fully locked down inside a house. Is that right?
Yep, that is correct.
Very much like Mahalino and Anna. You just could not go. Could you go to your fishing grounds and get food?
No.
How did you survive? How did you eat? How did you feed your children?
Yeah,
you know, we have a lot of family on the island, and you know that they've been helping us even overseas. Family overseas. They.
I'll just move along a bit more. But
Just getting back to that rock, it was quite a sizable rock, and it was thrown on what? On your roof?
Yeah, it was bigger than my fist.
We'll put up a photograph of it next to a hammer. And did it do damage?
To tell you the truth, I haven't been up there yet.
Other people the way you want to be treated. So if you don't want a rock on your roof, don't throw rocks on these people's roofs.
so just a little bit
New
more.
Zealand. Yeah, we have family in New Zealand, so
I'm going to ask every Pacific Island person, every Kiwi who watches this, please share this as widely as you can, person to person to person, group to group, because they'll try and shut it down on the mainstream Facebook. Please share this widely so people know what's going on.
So there, that's all I'll show. I'll skip through it, but it's a long video, and if you want to see it, it's on my website, on my Facebook site, so that you can go and have a look. But it gets to the heart of what people are going through because of all this government hoo-ha in people's lives and manipulating people's lives and affecting families and splitting them up and all of that terrible sort of thing that we're trying to stamp out here with this King's Bench Court. So there, that sets the mood of what we're talking about. The Arderns are behind all of this scam business that I call it murder at the highest level in this country, right in front of everybody, and they'll run away from it. They're starting to run away from it now and leave it, but we'll go after them. All those people that been in the governments all these years, gets £1 trillion on their head against their little crown, against the other crown in Britain, both crowns, because they're complicit in all of the fraud with the Rothschilds running the big crown in London. So there, we are their rivals, arch rivals here, with our ammunition to go up against them for breaking the normal laws of what the king set up for us, the common people, and they've taken it for their own families all these years, and they're not going to get away with it because we have them trapped in our court now, and legal. We're legal what we do, and we're going after every cent that they've stolen from everybody in the world, and they're using New Zealand as a guinea pig to put this on top of all the other native countries in the world for what they do here. And then in the islands, in the Tokelo Island, they'll use that as a model for their great plan to take out all the natives off the land and put their own people to control and own it outright, and get rid of all the laws in Britain and start with new laws out in the universe. That's what the Pope said. We're going to use higher laws out there. And how the hang they're going to do that is another thing, but it won't happen in our time. They just planned it that way, that they have to get away. That's why the Pope got rid of all the trust laws and the corporation laws. So they're vulnerable. Now, we've got them right out in the open with the motu proprio, Pope's law, on top of their heads and on top of the Pope's head as well. So he had to get his authority to make all his wealth from Westminster Parliament. So the problem is really Westminster Parliament. That's all in a mess. That what we got to go there and shut that Parliament down as well, after shutting this one down, and put some people we want in there instead of those wogs running a racket inside there for the whole world. So there, Andy, we're ready to roll the video, the documents. I watched your one because I didn't have a list of the pages I want to go to because it was too much work to do that. So I'll just go along through it a page at a time and just scroll past. This is our authority, is King William IV contract and Moai crown. That's the Moai there memorial that Queen Victoria put him there in 1868 as her title to the law, L-O-R-E on the right, God's law, spirit, and on the left, King William IV, man's law, the Admiralty man's law. Those two together are very powerful instruments that we use in this court every time. So that features at the beginning of this court hearing every time. The court's in session from when we first started off. So we're in business now. I won't read all of this because it was there to read what has happened with the Manukau title. Next week, we're going to do Cook Street and this Manukau title and put this right over this crown and shut their titles down that have broken the code of criminal code in changing words and chiefs making Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau a woman on their whakapapa. You'll see it later on. I left it in here because it's the title of the land that we're forcing in this court. It's for every land in the world that's gone through the Admiralty and these kings, the 5 kings that I always say. That's where our authority comes from. So there we can go past this, but those are bold to start us off. And here we are. That's our partner, our legal partner for these mortgage lien documents in the court, Admiral of the Fleet, Michael Boyce. And so he's our legal partner that will carry on and as if we're already with him. And there's the chief there of the Navy in New Zealand that with Dion Walker that says that they're obligated, the Navy's obligated to us. So that's that flag there in the background behind them, that they're obligated to that flag of contract and to us as native, not Maori. It's nothing to do with Maori. You won't see that anywhere on the British documents, only on the New Zealand government's documents. They invented it all. So there's Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau, there as chief in his outfit, and King George IV. That's our contract there, right there. King William IV and the 13 chiefs up north. I'm sorting that out now, the 13 chiefs, to make sure I pick the right chiefs to King William IV and the flag, not anybody else, not Maori, not anybody else. It's going to be me to pick it. That's me on the right there with the coat of arms of King William IV of Hanover and Britain, UK, there on my, and the 8-point star as well on my hat. So there, I'm acting as a sheriff there to investigate all the titles. So here's our other authority, the Confederation of Chiefs, that started all this commercial business off with the Freemasons. That the one on the right hand side, that's Mohim Timati Manukau Paramount Chief. I've taken his place on his Freemasons land title survey certificate of the land, the first land sold into the bank, Araroa Bank and the BNZ Bank and the League of Nations and the United Nations and the World Bank. That's come from that man on the right-hand side and his ancestors, John Rogan, the white man, Pākehā, that married into Mariah Manukau. And that's where those two put all the titles together. And his Te Māti Manukau, the 4th. So he's one before that, the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st, that kept the generations going through 187 years to the Confederation of Chiefs. So there, that's that. And there's Westminster Parliament. There, that's their coat of arms there. That we're going straight into that as our authority with the King George III, the King William III, the King George IV, the King William IV, and so there, those Emperor Dutch kings and New Zealand Dutch country, Zealand. So there, we can go past here. We've said this before, but just to stick it on the document. And here we have the Rothschilds thing, game over, of all their filthy business and all the paedophile, everything, and all the memorials they've stolen is in here. All their symbols and everything is tied up with this Moai crown here with a hat on his head. That's the crown on his head, the dirt earth one. and the obelisk on the pyramids. That's the Africa and Tahitian Easter Island with the African Nubian people of the pyramids, and where they took that obelisk and put it in all the powerful countries and Rome, and they took the top of the pyramid off, stole the damn thing, and put it. We're having them up for thieving these memorials for their documents and their titles. So that's how you do titles on land transfer. So that's a graphic picture just above the Queen's Head there. That's King William's Yard in Devonport in Plymouth. So that's where the yard, the biggest navy yard in England, was in Plymouth, and Devonport to Devonport, New Zealand. That's where the Devonport comes from. That's his William Yard there. I was going there to set up the native court inside his property there. It's a village now, a township that's been converted from his William Yard, where all the navy ships were at that time. So there's a history behind that lot with us. So we can carry on. There's Moai and King William. The Moai's in London Museum. And there's the little witch there on the right. I lied. She's a big liar, and she's in this court tonight with her family to answer to us in this native magistrate King's Bench court. I'm not kind. She's not kind. She's spinning it out of her mouth, and she's being told to do that by Klaus Schwab, the inventor of the World Economic Forum. So she's our number one murderer in this court. I'm having her up with all the people in this country for murdering all those people who have died from the poisons they're putting inside them without proving it's safe. It's not safe. We're saying she's behind the scam with all the other doctors, nurses, and everybody that's followed her, the politicians that followed, and everybody that iwi Maori that followed her are complicit in the fraud with her running this scam business. What the Pope says, organized criminal organizations. That's what he said. Go after them with adequate laws. We're using his law to go after her tonight. It's all in this 326 pages. They can't get out of it. And there's Te Waikato there with his Punga Punga Marae and his rock memorial deep in the earth. That's King George put that memorial for the Waikato area, where Cambridge, England, where he went to learn English and real estate. So he learned titles and everything like that to save this country from the British taking it outright with nobody as being the owner but the British Crown. So he took his name and his whakapapa and his title as Moriori to Britain, while Hongi Hika, his partner that went there, he went there to get the muskets. He wasn't interested in land titles. So I'm pointing to the 8-point star of St. Patrick on my head, the sheriff, to give you all this information of title, how the Freemasons put the titles together. They knew where to go after the memorial to the land, not a piece of concrete, but an original piece of rock. And the Moai is an original deep in the earth on East Island as the birth of this world. They know that they did that in history because they stole the Moai to make its history as the naval birthplace of the world. So their Easter egg, it's got an Easter egg at Anakena on Easter Island. I'll go there one day and match the whole story up because that's my people over there. The Wanoa tribe comes from there and Raiatea Island. So this marae here, this wharenui is called Ranginui, and it should have been Raiatea. So they put Ranginui, the Maori interpretation of Raiatea, East Island right here. So they went and made some wooden Moai statues and buried them in the ground over there to make out that they have a connection to Easter Island, just like that, out of thin air, put them over there, just freshly dug into the ground, because me and Blair and Hone went there, but we didn't see them because I wasn't looking for Moai. I was going there to the rock. And so I blow me down. I see on somebody had posted the Moai statues carved out of wood. They're supposed to be solid earth, not wood. Wood, it don't last long. They have rock, something of original material from the land, basalt rock, that the moais are made out of, that lasts for years and years. Not a wood you can get burnt or stolen, and that's the end of it. I seen a tiki go in the auction for 100,000 for a little tiki in the auction, Webster's auction in Auckland. I tried to stop the auction, but rather than get in trouble, I just let it go and didn't do anything much about it. Mohi Manukau told me to take them out and take that artifacts treasure off them because it was in his tribal area of selling our artifacts and our cultural heritage and making money out of everything. They steal. So there's the plaque. I made this up. I got this made up of Kāwharu and the Akuhata people and the surname from Nelson in Whakatu Marae. I brought up the whole Ropu, the whole Ross Kāwharu, the real Kāwharu, up to One Tree Hill. And I arranged all the unveiling of this gravesite. There used to be a steel fence around this gravesite, and it had the plaque on it. The Ngāti Whātua iwi took the whole thing off and hid it away with the crown to hide the real Kāwharu. Then they put Sir Hugh Kāwharu, the professor, and put his title as being a Kāwharu, and he's not a real Kāwharu for the Ngāti Whātua homemade tribe by the New Zealand government. It's not a real tribe, Ngāti Whātua, I know all that lot. So from Mohi Manukau. So they dreamed up that one and put it on their documents as if it was real back, way back in the years. And so that's another abhorrent use of code altering British history and documents. That's a real offence in this court tonight. We're going to slam them with that in this court tonight on Jacinda Ardern and all the other prime ministers and governor generals that have gone by. They're all complicit, all added to this fraud documents right through the years and scapegoating Maori and making everything out of Maori that they didn't know that what they were doing to the Maori people all along. The Maori thought they were going to get something good out of it. So they got less than 1% of what's stolen, and they accepted the iwi Maoris and those treaty settlements accepted less than 1% of what's stolen. We're going for 100% of what's stolen and get the whole lot back this way in this court tonight. So there, that's Mohi Manukau there. I've succeeded to his Freemasons titles and certificates and survey documents. I've got the documents for Cook Street here, the latest ones. And so I'll set all that up next week so that we can clobber the whole thing one shot this time. I did a good job of it in 2015, but the marshals did the wrong thing in going to under contract to get the titles for me and the keys to the office. So this time I could just about go and do it myself with all what we got. And so Jeff will give me a hand to do all of that and set up the business, the Ngā Atua Ewa Altair Limited company that belongs to all the people that come into the King's Bench Court as shareholders in all the plans we have with the tidal turbine, hydrogen economy, and everything that we recover goes to the shareholders and the businesses that will be set up straight off like that to everybody in the world, not just here, in the world. So there, that's that. And we're here on the right-hand side, we have these two here talking, Ross Ardern on the right and Clark Gayford, Jacinda's husband, on the left, talking about lockdowns and how good they're doing. And then Ross on the right-hand side runs away after he's done the damage to these Tokalo people and never to be seen, into thin air, into another job that covered up all their tracks. We go in, he's in the court, their photos are in here later on, and they're stuck there. They can't get their photos. The £1 trillion on each one of these ones' heads remains in this court law. So we're making law on top of these thugs and pirates, I call them, and I think he would say the same thing about them if he can prove it, that they're thugs and pirates. I'm just saying out loud that they are thugs and pirates operating on the high seas and not on the dry land through our dry land flag. So there, we can go on, Andy. because we've got to get through a lot of this. We can skip because it's in the last court hearings. We can go past here, carry on. This is the creditors that we're using these companies in Westminster City, not London City, City of London. We keep right out of there. So we can go past here. We'll roll past, and I'll just pick up on, we've said these before, the Admiral of the Fleet, so we can carry on because he's in contract here, and the virtual marae online. This is a virtual marae online doing these court hearings. So we're using bank instruments in this court, and later on, I'm the the prosecutor and judge. Here we have these people, their photos here. Ian Ardern, he's a minister in the Latter-day Saints, and so here you read at the back where the Rothschilds have put all these people in place to run the whole of the businesses of native lands. He's the president of the Pacific Islands, and now he's the president of Africa. So he's got all the native people in the Pacific tied up in his hands, and all the people, native people in Africa, tied up in his hands with the World Economic Forum. And he is the church that's doing all of this scam business, what I call private corporate government business over us. So that's why he's in here, because he's influenced by the Rothschilds, controlling what the church does for the Rothschilds. And this little witch here is Jacinda Ardern. That's her uncle, Ian. So she's running the scam government here with all that she's told to do by her peers. And so she's here for murder. They're all there with murder of the people dropping dead, and have no evidence to show. We're saying we have evidence of deaths that unusual. They're not normal deaths, and they're using, these lot here are using the deaths for their business of the COVID deaths as the reason for the martial law that they want to put on us. And we're jamming them up here tonight to stop them and their business and foreclose and shut the business down with this court. So that's why we're here for. And you got Clark Gayford, that's Jacinda's husband on the right. They're on trial tonight because he's sharing the information about what their business is all about. And they just use him in part of running this scam jab business to dumb down everybody so that they can't move, they can't say anything. They're owned by these thugs, and as the DNA is altered, they have altered you and your body. They've altered your country and its titles. They've altered all your wealth and all your legal sovereign bonds that the Pope has, and also the Pope has control in the City of London. So they're in the scam together with Washington, D.C. and President Biden. They're all in this scam business run by the Rothschilds in the City of London, in London. So that's our arch rival enemy, is the people running that scam business here on our native land. And I'm here as a true native surname, looking for the other native surname chiefs to put their names on these documents to make them legal to take to Westminster, to tell them we are here for the native title, customary native title, and the documents of title that was transferred to the Crown in England, not the Crown in Wellington. So the Crown in Wellington is Australia driven. Those people, Kuhira and all those people going under their flag is their contract. And don't touch this flag because you'll get £1 trillion on your head if you fly this flag for other reasons. And even the sheriffs from Australia and those Maoris here flying that flag, you got £1 trillion on your head and it won't come off. That's for sure. If you know anything about Freemasons, read the back of this document of all those pages I dropped there for you to read and find out who a Freemason is. I'm not a Freemason, but I do their documents. That's what I do. I do the real estate of the land wealth and everything that the Pope and the churches and everybody that's playing the game to make money and make themselves rich out of the Admiralty and those that went around the world to conquer countries under the king, not the queen, the king. The queen only went there, Queen Mary only went there, but she didn't do the conquering. The men do the conquering. The wife stays there and shut her mouth from saying anything. Now you've got Jacinda Ardern and all the women opening their big mouth and saying they have the titles, they have this and that, the control and all of this. You, the people, have the control, not this little witch and all her associates. There's Ross Ardern on the left at the bottom, and then we have Opito, William Sio. He's in charge of the Samoan Pacific people and also a minister in the government. So he has a lot of power, and the Samoans are going to replace the Maoris. I'm telling you tonight, I've done my research. The government here wants to get rid of the Maori they invented, the tribe, because that's what it is on paper, not the real Maori people walking around as if they are Maori. It's just an illusion and a myth that this little witch up the top carries on, that legacy of myths and illusions. So it fools everybody. It's no fooling game now in this court. The fooling game is over. So we've caught you, Jacinda. We've caught your family here, and you can't say anything about it because you haven't answered my letter with a registered mail to you that you got it, and you haven't answered this court, and that makes you liable and admission of guilty plea, and all your associates, people in your private corporations right through the world. And that's what the Pope said. I didn't say that. The Pope said that. I just used the Pope's law and words to go you, because you're not immune from any prosecution in this native court. I'm a native, and you are the Pākehā mischieving in Wellington and fooling everybody in this country. They'll soon wake up after this lot next week with Cook Street. Once we take that one legally, they're going to jump ship, and you're going to be ending up with something like these Philippines laws and these other 20 countries. I'm going to rattle them off now while I'm talking to you, and here they are from 1 to 20. Vietnam, these are death penalties. Shoot, hang for treason. That's the big one. You're causing treason here, Jacinda, against the sovereign people here being damaged and injured and loss of life and everything else that's going wrong with them. Harm. You've harmed them people. You've harmed too many people, and we're stopping it right here in this court tonight. So we've got Vietnam, United Arab Emirates, Uganda, Thailand, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Taiwan, Singapore, Palestine, North Korea, Nigeria, Malaysia, Libya, Japan, Iran, India, Egypt, China, Philippines, and New Zealand under this King's Bench Court law is capital punishment for people like you breaking people's bodies in pieces and breaking families up and poisoning the earth, the water, the plants, everything. We're holding you liable for that. And all your people who go to you and your advertising, everything is safe and cozy with you and your WEF. The WEF is already on trial in this court for all the damage going on with people dying, and you can't say truthfully how they died, because we're just saying to you tonight they were murdered in the hospital or at their homes when they went and got jabbed. So that's the poison that you're spreading misinformation about on media because you got the money to pay them all. I'm saying that in this court on the record, for the British record, for the world record of 250 countries, and for New Zealand, that we're holding you, Jacinda, with your photo there, that you can't get off because it's locked there in time. It's in a time capsule of what you did, what Helen Clark did, what all the prime ministers before did, to follow your legacy of criminal organisation inside Parliament in Wellington. You did it with your Maori ministers and iwi trustees. We are a trustee too, so we take your trustees right out with a pound note and liquidate you and put you out of business. So there, that said, these are the countries, shoot, hang, or anything immediate. Don't muck around, like Korea, like North Korea. Bang, you're gone for violating people's lives and mass murder. That one, mass murder from all over the world of the people dropping dead as abnormal because something is killing them off. That's never happened before. Only in these last 3 years it's ever happened in the lives of people on this earth planet, and you're responsible. You're responsible tonight. And this other man down here on the right at the bottom, Halleck, that's Victor, Elder Victor Halleck. He's in charge of the Mormon Church. There's the Mormon Church there, the Latter-day Saints Church, the Church of England, and the Catholic Church running the scam business from Rothschilds in London. So there, that's you wrapped up tonight in this court hearing. We find you guilty as charged, prosecuted, and fined. Right? We can drop any amount of pound notes on your head, and we're going to use the military to recover all the debt when we show them where the fraud is, and we've caught you acting out this scam business right here tonight. So there, that's the main issue in this court. All the words I've written are for you to read, but I'm just saying it all adds up to mass murder and genocide and lethal injection and also bioweapons of mass destruction by man himself and woman running this whole corporate private business with King's laws that were supposed to be meant for us. And you're using the King's laws, and we're going to use the King's laws on your head tonight, all of you, and all the other ones in Parliament, the whole lot of the Parliament, 120 ministers, they all got £1 trillion on their head. All the ones like you get 100 trillion or more on top of your head, because you're the kingpins behind the scam in New Zealand, on this land anyway. So I'm hoping all the other people in 250 countries watch this video and take note of what we're doing. You set up the Maori tribe and invented that word Maori to scam the land off Maori, then get rid of Maori and put something there, Samoans. That's what it looks like here in this back document at the back, and what's already written here in the Mormons are saying the same thing. So there, that's the churches and the Bible and a gun. That's how you took these lands. I'm here standing for all those indigenous native surnames that had no law to go on at the time. And so I'm just bringing all that back up from 1769 to 1831, where Maori word in the document last week's court hearing is plain to see that this government in Wellington inserted Maori at 1769 as Maori Ngāpuhi tribes, chiefs, and also 1831 Ngāpuhi Maori chiefs signed the documents. So how can you do that to the people here watching now, Jacinda? We've caught you tampering with Maori's lives and their whakapapa and their existence on this land, that they were here before you got here. And with your people in Australia, and not straight from Britain, you're going around Britain and Westminster and going to Ireland to steal the Republic laws there and bring them here. No, not past me, Jacinda. You won't get past me because my family's over there, the Cosgroves and the Rogans that put all these land titles together. So you got to get past them waiting for you there and your Trevor Mallard and Mataprai, Jerry Mataprai Andrews is not a real name, Mataprai. It's just a Maori name, but his real name, surname is a White Andrews. So there, all of that happens in this court, exposing what you did with Maori people, put these Maori names there, transliteration. There's a big whole line list of it in last week's court hearing with all the Maori names transliterated into your titles to switch it over to the white man from the dark native. Right, okay, as judge and prosecutor and surrogate king sovereign, I make a determination as my crown and my powerhouse bank judgment creditor to prosecute you and other crown agents as judgment debtors and charge you accused corporate criminals for a string of fraud offences and made writs of execution of property arrest, control and seizure, possession, court default debt contract orders tonight for New Zealand, UK sheriffs and debt collectors to seize and liquidate your bank accounts, life assets, property investments, incorporated business and assets forfeited to the Maori Crown, King William IV Trust banks and bankrupt you and individually named photograph Crown agent criminals as a consequence of breaking Pope Francis 2013 motu proprio orders and breaking the Maori Crown God's pure law and LORE and truth affidavits here and 18 video affidavits. Every video is an affidavit of truth that no one has refuted any of it, so that becomes law, truth. That's Moa law, LORE, truth. And King William's law, LAW, put together in this court. And King William III, King George III, King George IV, King William IV, King Ernest Augustus V, Admiralty Laws of Westminster Parliament, 1689, 1837, Britain, UK, and broke Pope Francis motu proprio orders we use against your person and all your Queen Elizabeth II, Queen Victoria default contract debtors. So I'm just reading just that bit, but all that I've written goes against these criminals and all the rest of their pirates right through the world that are doing the scam together. And so we've caught at least one in New Zealand and the ones around her that are putting Maori on a block for sale. They're virtually selling the Maori off and get rid of it because it belongs to them. And so that'll leave you going back to your hapu with nothing. That's what they're doing here. I'm telling you that, the truth about what they're doing and how they're doing it. These are these criminal thugs in the Beehive in Wellington. They're doing this deliberately because they've got the money, all the wealth stolen, and they've got the money to throw around to pay the iwi off and get them on their side. So there, we just drop a pound note on the whole lot of them and bang, one hit next week. All court cases against you are publicly notified here on my website for you. Too late to respond to me and haven't yet in your assault on me in acquiescence of guilty as charged in a native people's court. So this is a people's court for the whole world. So there, we don't need to say any more there. It's just more said and more of these acts here against these thugs, all these maritime and admiralty law acts. Again, any one of those acts we can drop on them. We got truckloads of acts in this court to stack up against them. That's why they can't win. They can never win any of the court cases in this court. So there, we can roll on. Here, 13. Oh no, here. Jacinda Ardern charged, convicted 13th of August 2022, and again on the 3rd of September 2022. A warrant is out for your arrest, and all 6 of you in a block photo for the British military and other military contracts. So we just write the pound note out to go over their heads, value their heads, value them as collateral, and use that collateral to pay anybody a contract to go after them. So we're using the gold that's missing and put contract to pay the British military and any other military in the world to go after them, not just write the pound note, because we have the right to do that. And this court. So these are all the Pope's laws are split out his letter into counts, so we can identify each sentence and use it as laws against Jacinda and her government. All this lot. Ian Ardern. This is a history of Ian Ardern, and the names of these are published. These I've taken these publications of these names of these people here lined up. I didn't do that. Somebody else did. So they've taken the history online, and I put them as Jacinda Ardern, Ross Ardern, Ian Ardern, or Peter William Seal, Vincent Halleck, Jacinda's uncle, Clark Gayford. I put Clark Gayford in because he's stuck in. He can hear everything being said, and so he's part of it. And so that makes 6 of them in this court hearing tonight, slammed up against this court with all these laws and acts on top of their heads. So we've got called the best, I suppose. No, carry on. I don't need to read any more of that. That's there for people to read the facts of what's happened. Here we come across the Mormon Church, High Seas of Admiralty Law, to Britain. So here's the bits on the Mormon Church on how they operate quite differently to the Latter-day Saints. So they are more satanic people in their approach using the Bible. They're all using Bibles, so that's why I don't go with Bibles. I just stick to the Moai law. That's me straight to you, face to face, word and speak. No written stuff. That's how you call tikanga law. It's tika means correct. So no writing. Just make a contract to each other and swear by it, and that's it. So there's Ian here as a minister of the church. He's the leader of all those Latter-day Saints churches tied up with the Rothschilds at the back of the book. You can read it because it's all there in black and white and coloured red, and with places that get extreme, that of New Zealand's in there, right amongst the banks and everything, screwing the people of their wealth at the back. And the churches are behind the whole scam with Britain, and Westminster is controlled by the Rothschilds. They control Westminster Parliament and what's being said in there. So we're going right above him and Westminster law with this law. Ross Ardern, there's a bit of him here, and the murders of Tokoro families, and come with the King's martial law. So these two here are stuck right there. It'll be there for life in the history of people, and the kids will learn this stuff. They will learn what happened to their families dying with that jabby thing. These two that got behind the jabbing of those people on Tokoro Island as a model of their filthy game of playing with people's lives. So there we are. Here's the girl here that we just watched the video. I did this for her and her family and put her there to support Gypsy, that's her name, and her family. Please go to the website, Tokoro. They cut that off as well. They are affected people. They've got a decree, writ warrant, enforced into law of this King's Bench Magistrate Court, Saturday, 3rd September 2022, for her. It's for her and her family and her dad that went from New Zealand back to Tokoro to get away from all this jabby business, only to be told they have to get it over there compulsory. So there, it's going against that natural law of healing yourself with your own rongo or your own native medicines, and not this Pākehā rubbish medication that they give to you, and these jab things to say you've got something, and they give it to you. They jab you and you've got it. You've got this dirty poison in you. Once you've got it, you can't get it out. It's stuck there for life as an antenna for their frequency to track you down and own you and switch you off at the press of a button. They can electrocute you with the frequency of the big things they've got, those big towers, the telecom towers that's all over the place. They can track you and kill you if you don't pay their bill. That's what that's all about. These little thugs in Wellington are behind that, killing people. That's their game. They just use you as a game, and we're playing the game in this court. I'm here playing the game, and you can't play the game if you haven't got a company to go up against that company. So there, we've got a company in England, and we've got a company here that bankrupts them with one company against the other if they're found to be fraudulent and breaking the laws. They alter the laws all the time so they can get around the laws. So they're co-masters of the world management of the Catholic and Tsar's wealth and the capture of Orthodox Church wealth. See, the money, follow the money and you'll end up in a church and the Bible and a gun. So there, that's why I don't like churches too much, because they only go there for one thing, the land and the resources to make money out of you or anybody, and they get them off the land with their parliament laws. So there's some more writing there, but I've highlighted pieces in red. Elder Ian Ardern, leader of Samoa and surrounding, this is not my word, surrounding, I just highlighted surrounding islands LDS Church. There's Elder Ian Ardern right there, controlling the Samoan people to take the Maoris off the land because it belongs to them. Everything Maori, the bits of paper, not you. If you want to call yourself a Maori, that's fine, but it's the piece of paper, that document that transfers the wealth off your land into their crown, and that's the end of that. It's hard to try and get rid of it if you haven't got this sort of court to handle the whole of that jabby wealth. Co-masters of the world. So this is all the rock there. I've underlined it. Morgans and Rockefellers, Marano Jews, Rothschild capital that made the Rothschilds so powerful. So there, I've just highlighted. I wanted to go right through it, but I just did a few, so you get the idea. Secret societies, see, but also in Christendom's churches. It's the church behind the scam. Rothschild had rapidly propelled themselves into a position of immense financial power and political influence of the parliaments. They ran the parliament. That's what they do to make the money out of the parliament's orders to follow what they say. Youth of Community Church, Methodist Church is behind the scam, Hepworth League, New York District. So it's all about churches tonight. Federal Council, federal, that word federal count is a king's law. Federal is a king's law, so they're usurping the king. Federal Council of Churches of Christ. There. So there you go, the churches all the way through. Jews and Masons, the Freemasons. There's your Freemasons that I'm doing their documents. See? So they got a stake in the crown wealth, the Freemasons with their survey title and transfer title in the land information. Catholics, it's got Catholics there. I just saw the Catholics. Over the US Fed, the US Fed is of these 5 banks were controlled by Nathan Rothschild, Sons of London, control over the US Fed, that's king again, federal. US federal is basically control over the world's money. So there we are. Money, churches, gun, Bible. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm saying tonight is what's holding you at ransom. And we're going to put a sock right through the middle of it tonight. The Kaiser of Germany. There's Kate Frost, Germany. The Kaiser of Germany seems to refer to them when he said the magic powers of money as wielded by the Lord of Luther are powers of black magic at its blackest. So there we are. Black money, Germany, churches, Bible, gun. In this business, raping the Admiralty King's laws. That's what we've got the flag for, to jam them up with the flag of the Admiral, not the Vice Admiral of Queen's Bench Court, but the Admiral, the real Admiral that got the wealth and got them on the land in the first place. Most of these Frankfurt, that's where the Queen has hidden the gold. It's in Frankfurt, Germany. She took it out, cleaned the treasury. There's nothing in there. If anybody goes in there, there's nothing in there. It's just run on debt now, because she took it out when she took off to Scotland, or well before that, Jewish Freemasons. So there we go. There's your Freemasons there, engaged in commerce. Where did the commerce come from? The King's Bench Court. That's where commerce comes from, not the Queen's Bench Court. They just silenced the king. So those Freemasons from 1817 to 1842 were the leaders of the Frankfurt Jewish community, 55A Gentile, Mason in Frankfurt. Johann Christian Ehrman began warning the German people that the Frankfurt Jewish nations wanted a world republic based on humanism. So that's, and then we go down to this read, but Cromwell was financed by Jews and helped the Jews gain power in England. Cromwell was willing to go along with the Jews because he became convinced of British Israelism. So Israel is a corporation. They stole that country off the Palestine. So we're going to go and get it back for the Palestine. They stole it using these Rothschilds and the City of London to take over, using the Admiralty to seize lands. We use the Admiralty to seize the land back with the Admiralty law of kings. So that's what we've got writ warrants for, to seize lands. And we're going to seize Cook Street and show you how to do it in reverse of what they do to us, to seize lands off the natives. We do it and seize it off these little rogue little parkers. White man in Wellington. I say there's plenty of good white men. We've even got some in our group. So they're good ones. And so we talk about the bad ones. The religious ideas of British people are described from the tribes of Israel. So that's why I don't like Israel, because they just want war. They create all the war, fight and kill everybody in Palestine and take all the children. That's their law. Steal the children, steal the land and everything else. There's a red bit here. Some of the British Israelites, such as the Mormons, the old New England wealthy families such as make up the Order, some Masons and New Agers, and the non-Jewish members of the Pertre de Sion are collaborating with the One World Power, One World Order, New World Order, One World Power. The Anglican Church, here's the Anglican Church, which is run by the Freemasons in London, is strongly British Israelitic. So they are propping up Israel with this fraudulent, scammy business. It's all a scam. The whole Israel, the whole America, the whole everything that Trump's doing is a scam, because he supports Israel and shooting people to death right around the world, conquering people with this king's law and taking over people's countries and devastating the whole place. Dirty business. That's not my word. Dirty business, such as controlling congressmen. So the Rothschilds, they control the Congress in America right there. The money people are running Congress, not the people of America. That's why Donald Trump wanted to shut it down, because he said it was full of fraud. Bible versus socio OECD economists. So we can, I just highlighted the New Zealand bits. Greater institutional reserve banking, gold and currency and capital gains. We're getting through quickly now. The King's Jews, we've said our piece about Jacinda, so we're just going to go through the end of this book and just highlight some of the things that they're doing to New Zealand. The Bank of International Settlements, New Zealand Central Securities Depository Limited. There's another company we go after. Rothschild's privatization of the world. That's another one we go after. New Zealand Bankers Association, we go after them. International Forum of Sovereign Wealth Funds. That's all your sovereign bonds and the money. The New Zealand Superannuation Fund. These are all the wealth things that they've stolen from you. Why do only, I put this in real high font, why do only Jewish and Protestant, there's us, Protestant King William IV and the Dutch kings, the 6 Dutch kings families, control the global banking now. So the Protestants are still in control of Westminster Parliament and the Crown. The Protestant, which is us, with the Dutch kings. The Dutch kings are still in control here. What this is saying, families Protestant families control the global banking now. So there, that's us. That's us, the king Protestant, not Catholic, Protestant. So the Catholic is trying to shut down the Protestant by shooting them with their own Catholic laws and everything else to get us out of the way. No, we're just going to use the flag to get them out of the way. And New Zealand Governor Adrian Orr, he's the governor of the bank, Adrian Orr's upland. So we go after him. How foreign banks rot New Zealanders and are sucking the economic lifeblood out of the country. There we are. They're stealing from you, sovereign people of New Zealand, right there. This is in black and red and black. ANZ, BNZ, Westpac, and ASB, exorbitant profits put in perspective. Right here, we'll catch them in the act and stick the crown note right on the head. Today, both apostate Jews and the vast body of Christian church have largely repudiated these elementary laws and given us the corrupt global fractional reserve banking, that's the fiat money, that we have today being forced upon us. Sadly, this corrupt, incredibly unfair fractional reserve banking system allows international banks in collusion with central reserve banks to create credit and interest-bearing debt out of thin air. So there, we're going after them and shut them down with a pound note and go right through the whole lot of them in this scammy fiat money. That's fraud. That's the fraud. I put them in red like that to get them in the fraud right there. We're charging them with fraud and embezzlement of people's money. Fractional reserve banking will ultimately confiscate and transfer the entire assets of the earth to just one corporation, bank, or person through mortgage. There's that word mortgage debt. That's the King's Mortgage Admiralty that makes mortgage debt from French Jews in London. Mort, death, and gage, bond, equals death bond, enslaving the whole world under a giant web of debt bondage. So we are the debt bondage liquidator of all of that King's Admiralty mortgage lien laws of banks. We got the power in this flag and this court, the King's Bench Court. So New Zealand Treasury and Reserve Bank format. So there's something on the New Zealand Reserve Bank. That's the Araroa South Island Bank, right there with JP Morgan, one of the major foreign shareholders of the big four foreign controlled banks in Australia and New Zealand today. Peter Thiel, the billionaire and co-founder of PayPal, who today incidentally has dual US New Zealand citizenship, originally worked for the Sullivan and Cromwell. So they're coming to hide themselves in New Zealand where they can get away with it. And we catch them. We catch all those wealthy millionaires coming here and buying up all the real estate, all the wealthy farms, and parking themselves here right away from all the dirty things they're doing in America and all the other corporate run countries. So there, we can skip through this. There's NATO there. I can see NATO there involved in all of this. CIA is involved in this scam, and the US State Department is in this scam. All the scammy things are here for you to read and why we're going after the scammy business and put them out of business. City of London is there. Corporate control, multinational banks and companies ultimately owning the physical assets of the world. That's our assets. We're going after our assets in our trust, the Queen Victoria Trust. They're playing around with in the World Bank. They're going to dish out the money for humanity and they take a big slice out of it for their family. We're going to put the sock right through it in this court hearing tonight and jam them up with these laws and court them with all these red bits and all these that are put here on the court tonight is used as evidence against these thugs and pirates and especially Jacinda Ardern's family and their churches. I don't go to church. I never did. The Sunday school van, a Volkswagen van, used to come past and stop at our gate. And I hid away. I always hide away because I don't like it. I didn't like going to church and learn something I don't like. See, so now I'm still like that. I'm still like somebody's coming along to take me into the church to do what? To do all this? To brainwash my brain into something else other than a mechanic to fix up all their problems here, and tell the whole people in the world, here's where it is. We've nailed the answer to fix all your problems in the world right here. Okay, here's the answer. So I can see James Holgate here. That's good of him to come and watch and be part of this court hearing where all the filthy things happen. And what I will address in much more specific detail how these foreign bankers and multinational companies that they control are disgracefully sucking economic lifeblood out of New Zealand economy, manipulating and monopolizing and taking over control of almost all the nation's key national assets. So they've come in with their corporates with all the money from overseas and bought all the businesses for cheap, bankrupted the businesses that have been struggling for years and built up over the years. The families, they've gone down the South Island where all those families have been there for 100 years. They've just ripped them off the land and took the land off them. I've seen it here, this one here. For example, a 10% tax to GDP ratio produces over 20 times more wealth for a nation, and hence equally more tax revenue for the government. So there's someone on how they screw you with tax. That's illegal, what they do with tax. They're doing it right here. So there's another scam. New Zealand tax history. When one looks at the conquered history of land taxes, and the country in particular, to seriously contemplate their reintroduction from bordering on madness. Land tax was first imposed on New Zealanders under the Land Tax Act 1878, followed by the Property Tax Act 1879, which was charged. This is in Queen Victoria did all this, and 1837 onwards. Not the king didn't do all this. This is all the Queen's scammy business, Kate Frost. This is all your German Queen's scammy business going on here, which was charged at a rate of 4%. So she screwed the people and made them into debt slaves. But since there was a £500 exemption, few people in the country actually paid it. By 1895, it was made up 78% of the total land and income tax revenue, income and government. Yet by 1967, in a report produced by the committee chaired by the Auckland accountant Lewis Ross, land tax made up only 5% of the government revenue. By 1982, only 5% of the total land value was taxed. And as land taxes were also considered to be duplicative of local authority property rate levies, with these making up 50% of the local government income by 2001. So there's a lot in there about taxes, how they screw the people and make wealth for themselves. Now, I won't read this anymore because it's all there for you to read and how they screwed the whole nation and their economy. That's why the economy won't grow. There's Magna Carta there, 1215, which still forms much of the basis of English, American, and New Zealand law today. It still applies under the Magna Carta, but I don't use the Magna Carta law. I just use the King's laws, and because that's from French, the Magna Carta, and I don't want to go down that track. Plenty of reading there. I didn't have time to go through anymore. I just went only that while here. CEO of Institute is John Daly, who was headed it since the founding 9 years ago. Previously worked for McKinsey and Co, ANZ Bank, fractional reserve banking, gold, fiat currency, and capital gains tax. So there's where they screw you, and we'll screw them back. I'll underline more things in here that we can screw them. Benefits physical asset owners such as homeowners and landowners. They're trying to give a little bit back, but they take the bulk of all the money. Background, international bankers takeover of New Zealand economy. That's what they're doing here, Andy. This is what these thugs and pirates are doing, taking over this country and the economy of the Pacific Island native people for themselves and their private corporations. So there's Federal Reserve Act there. I just can see it passed in the US. All that lot. I've got to yet go through and pick out what I think it amounts to fraud and defraud the people of the world. Is in here. Everything is in here. I skipped over it, and it was taking a long time to do that in a week. It took me a whole week to put all this together and read everything word for word. And there's everything on New Zealand there. I just saw it going past. Everything on New Zealand is here. The Queen and the Oath. I just saw that move past. So there, we're identifying where the fraud is in what they're doing in this Vanguard group there. Now with over 5 trillion in assets, that's Vanguard, just rolling past. BlackRock, there's BlackRock shares, just gone under. You just go back a little bit, Andy. Just go back. I just want to read a little bit of BlackRock. Just roll back a little bit more backwards. Bit more. There, over here somewhere. Right here. Where's the BlackRock? I saw it. Oh, this Vanguard headquarters in Malvern, Pennsylvania. See, Pennsylvania, we're using the acts of Pennsylvania sheriffs. So everything here with Vanguard Group is in Pennsylvania because they're hiding under the King's laws in Pennsylvania because they practice, the sheriffs use King's laws there as self-government. Apart is the only one in America that's immune from all the other laws in America is Pennsylvania. That's why I'm using those acts. This Vanguard Group here, now with over 5 trillion, and BlackRock here, funds in the world after BlackRock shares. Go and have a look at 20 major shareholders of the major bank corporation companies in the world. And all likelihood, the Vanguard Group interest will be at least one of them. So now here's someone here. Why do only Jewish and Protestant families control global banking now? That's us, the Protestant. Most of the leading bankers in the world today are Jews, or those that author refers to apostate Protestants. So we're right in the Protestant field in this court. It is a Protestant court, lest the author be. So we're in that law and labeled anti-Semitite, Protestant Christians. So there's plenty there to wrap your head around and get a grip of that law. There's the Church of England there. Church of England, Protestant church. So the Church of England is a Protestant church. So there, that's on our side in England. We go under the Church of England, Protestant, with these documents and killed the whole problem off one hit in the process, seizing all the Roman Catholic Church vast assets. There we go. There, I should have underlined this. I didn't go far enough to go and put this in bold red higher in 14 font so that you can see what we're going to do here, and set himself as the head of the Protestant Church of England in the process, seizing all the Roman Catholic Church's vast assets. That's what we're doing here in this court tonight. In Roman Catholic England, William the Conqueror first brought the Jewish bankers from the continent to England in 1070, not because he particularly liked the Jews, but tunately for the Jews. They were more often than not persecuted by Catholics throughout Europe, and because of their oppressive banking practices, were hated even more, and they were only locked up as necessary evil by the Catholic king. There we are. So there's something on the Protestant, us with this powerful Dutch Protestant flag of contracts to down the whole lot of them in this court. So there we go. That's the power of the flag, not whakaputanga flag or whakamininga. This is a Confederation flag that we're using with all this power tonight. All this power that you people here stop being a Maori and be a native or Hapu or Moari or Moai or anything else than a Maori, and you'll be right. You just jump over here and stick this lot in your wallet. So 27 countries represent 50 billion investable assets across 25 businesses. Now we can carry on. Archbishop, whoa. Archbishop of Canterbury and Pope. So the Archbishop of Canterbury of New Zealand, Mossop, went to the Vatican after he and Helen Clark put a Moai statue on Walao Bay in Wellington as their title. They got Helen Clark got a Moai from Chile, a replica, and stuck it on the beach as their title to the Pacific. Right at the time this guy Mossop went to the Vatican to take that title of the Samoans at the time, were with Helen Clark sticking that title up, jammed them up, and told them you can't do that with Moai. And so there they are. They're playing around with Moai, L-O-R-E, law, and their Queen law to make their title try and stick, and it won't stick. It just won't stick up in front of us. I'm telling you the truth of how they do these silly things, and people believe them. The people just follow them like stupid sheep and say, oh, we love Jacinda because she looks pretty and she says very nice things, and then kills them dead. Right? You'll wake up. You'll wake up about 2 years later and you'll find half your family's missing. They're gone. They're with the roses in the ground. They're getting more and more concerned. They face global uprising and revolt. That's coming when they find out what I'm just saying tonight, the truth about how they run this scammy business. They'll revolt. The people will uprise and take the arms or anything and get them out of Westminster. You have to get them out of there. Boris and all his lot. So that's why he's running away. They run away. Lynn Forrester of the Rothschild, who co-hosted the May 2014 conference, observed she was concerned. I think that a lot of kids. So she goes on. I had her in photos with D. Rothschild, Evelyn D. Rothschild, and his wife here. This lady Lynn Forrester, that's his wife. They're both running this scammy business right when I put their photos on Facebook, ready for this court hearing, and pull them out anytime we want to, and stick it on them, stick a death note on them. Adrian Orr, there's Adrian Orr there, the bank governor of New Zealand. So there's some more. There's plenty more of these banks, and the bank and the National Bank of New Zealand work for the news. This is this guy Orr. He's the bank treasurer. That's right, picking up all the money for the Rothschilds in New Zealand. So there's plenty here. Lloyds Bank, TSB in London, which was sold to the ANZ Bank in 2003, subsidiary of ANZ Banking Group in Australia. So we're putting the debt right on top of the ANZ Bank and those Australian banks running this scammy mortgage fraud business. I'm dealing with mortgage fraud business on Cook Street. Once you get one mortgage fraud title taken off them, then all the rest of the banks will fall underneath that title and gone. All their business is just going to be the same house of cards with real estate. So there we are, Andy. I think we've said enough about that. Rothschild control the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. There we go. Rothschild control the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. That's the Araroa Bank from South Island that was put together at the same time as the Araroa Bank in Helensville. So there's some more of the banks here that we're going after them. We're going after them, Blair. We're going to get them next week. And we're going to throw all this blown lot at them. How foreign banks rot New Zealand does, it's gone past now, and suck the living daylights out of their lifeblood out of the country. So there's Don Brash, is chair of the industrial. He's got a new job now. Don Brass, oh, it's gone now, never mind. So those are the ex-Prime Minister of New Zealand running the scam to keep the narrative going of money for the Rothschild. It's all it is, the millions and billions of dollars going past you right now. So I'm accounting for all this scammy business going on in front of you. Fractional reserve banking, all of that here. So that gives you an idea of how far they're prepared to go and how far I'm prepared to go to chase after them and pull them in. Yet pull them into contract. We're pulling them into contract in this court, just the same as they pull you into contract in their court. They can't stop us from doing that because we're legitimate to do that to them. So do unto others what they do to you. That's what God says. Do unto others what they do to you. So we do it to them. Fair cop. Fair cop. So Andy, I think we must be nearing the end of this because this is just the finishing part of this. Oh no, we're only on page 57. Holy hell, we got a long way to go. Well, we have to skip past all this. We there's billions there. There's heaps of billions there. There's billions and trillions. Keep going, roll, keep rolling, because that's more of the same. I'm saying that's our wealth we're looking at. We're looking at seizing the whole of. That's the end of it there. That's the end of it. There's our little witch that's on trial tonight. Hang on. What's it say here? Jacinda Ardern. Hang on. I just got to say this to her and those 6 pirates on the high sea in front of all the people in the world watching this video tonight. Jacinda Ardern, that's you, the little witch. Ross Ardern, Ian Ardern are complicit in WEF, World Domination, that's the World Economic Forum, World Domination, Corporation Business of Government, hand in hand with the Latter-day Saints Church, the Catholic Church, the Mormon Church, and Church of England, corruption of the Dutch Protestant. Well, I have to reiterate that the Church of England now, what I saw, is the Protestant. So they come out of that as corruption. They're on our side, so I'll have to delete what's there. But this is my words I'm writing, so I'll have to alter my words and put the Protestant in the right place out of the scammy business. The Crown, the William IV Crown Corporation's Admiralty of the Fleet, Michael Boyce, our legal partner with the Confederation of Chiefs, customary native land title and legal instruments and flag of King William IV, constitution and jurisdiction as a dry land, dockless, barless court system. We are enforcing over you, Jacinda Ardern, Vice Admiral, inferior courts that you are of law, of the supposed to be land that the government influences and coerces the Mormon Church and Samoan political power over Maori Hapu tribes to get them out of power with the Latter-day Saints Church influence of Ian Ardern as president over the Pacific Native peoples and African Native people to wipe them off the lands and put others there. So that's the statement I'm making in this court for the record of this little witch here in this picture here and those people. What she's saying here, be informed, not influenced by what they say. Well, up you go, Andy, up. What that's businessdesk.co.nz, and this write up about her or about these people. I've got to read this bit. This is the Maoris' involvement in the scammy business, right? That they're caught up in it with this word Maori and how they do it. The trick is here. I'm going to read the trick of what they do to our native people and what they do to every other native country's people, like Canada and what's his name over there, the chief over there, Harry. 23rd of September 2021, New Zealand, now called Aotearoa, that's in the United Nations. They've got Aotearoa, seems to be controlled by just a few families and have taken control of the entire Pacific region. Listen up. This is real graphic stuff with Maori involved with the government. Now let's see. John Tamihere is married to Awarangi Juri Tamihere, now on the new Maori Health Board. Their daughter is Christina Tamihere Waititi Kiri, married to Rawiri Waititi. He's the leader of the Maori Party. Awarangi Tamihere is the daughter of Mason Dewey. Mason Dewey worked together with Manuka Henare, director of the Catholic Church, brother of Piki Henare, to change the Whakaputanga flag, the same looking one as ours, now called the Whakamininga. They did this in the government because they can do what they like with Maori. Mason Dewey is the brother of Eddie Dewey, and Hugh Carfro. Here's the crooked one here. Hugh Carfro changed the whole of the title of Auckland and put it into a fake Kāwhuru title and not the real title. Both sat on the Waitangi Tribunal to settle land claims and hand New Zealand back to themselves, the Maori crown of the white man Pākehā, from brown skin to white skin ownership. Cite this as injunction, decree, and motu proprio. We're sticking this citation and writ warrant on the heads for saying that. Hugh Carfro, he was a professor that screwed all the history and whakapapa, worked with Mason Dewey, he's in the courts, and Manuka Henare, this is this guy here that changed the history, and the whakapapa to change the Treaty of Waitangi, now called Te Treaty or Waitangi. So some more Maori bits going in from these Maori politicians, screwing the whole Maori to suit their narrative of Crown Corporation in private business in Wellington, the Beehive government. Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand, her father, the High Commissioner of Tokelo and Cook Islands, a Mormon area, 70, and Elder, her uncle, Ian, High Commissioner of Samoa, an area of 70, and elder of the Mormon Church, her other uncle, Vincent Halleck, an area 70, and president of the Pacific area of American Samoa. So there are your Maoris tied up with glove in hand, and Jacinda Ardern, and those churches are named all the way through, running this scammy corporate private company business for their own families, and nothing to do with you Maoris out there. It's nothing to do with you because they own everything Maori, including your body that you got jabbed. They own all of you people that's flying that flag for the wrong reasons. You're flying it for Jacinda and her Maoris that say, oh, we got that flag. We use that flag because we're Maori. See, so you're being tricked. You're being tricked out of your own whakapapa for these thugs and pirates, I call them. I'm making them thugs and pirates in front of the world on our land, our sovereign, native, customary land here in New Zealand. Daniel Andrews, that's the Australian guy that screwed everything up there and got kicked out, is a devout Catholic. So the Catholic, you're Catholics, Kate Frost, because you're German Catholic, and you're trying to say you're Protestant because Mary is a Catholic and William is a Protestant. You're trying to say you're a Protestant when you're not. You're a German Catholic, and you've got your words. That's why we don't let you in this court and start talking nonsense in just this year. You haven't been here for 20 to 30 years like I have to know what you're up to with your voice talking in the court for hours and hours and hours trying to convince Maori-Peans, and you're Maori, that you're on the right track. You're going around the bush. and you're running out of ideas and picking at straws to try and make your story work. And it just won't work because you haven't got all the elements of your story together. You're only picking bits here, and one act of the Bill of Rights 1688 to make your Catholic claim over a Protestant 1689, King William III, titles to everything commercial in the world. It was King William III and the 8-point star of St. Patrick Municipalities Act that collects the rent off the land, this stupid girl. It's all King's work that put all the wealth, the mortgages, the lands, the banks, the everything together, not a queen. She just sat on her ass and did nothing but just screw up and make fraud acts of statutes on top of the King's law and robbed everybody blind. Kate Frost robbed everybody blind in these documents here. That's not my word. That's the words of the church that you belong to here. And the Pope, that's your Pope, that's been screwing kids and all the pedophile things in Rome. And it looks dirty because it is dirty business. It's blood money and it's been stolen. All that, the obelisk and the capstone on top of the pyramid has been stolen from the native people of the land in Africa. God said, put this here for me, for my sundial, so you can get the right time and the height of everything. And that's it. But the Pope picked it up and the Queen picked it up, took it to England, took it to France, took it to Rome, took it to America, took it everywhere for their title of God's Sun Ra, God, obelisk, and the Moai statue of God's L-O-R-E, truth law that we have in this court. It's everything but the truth and facts that you have to try and get above with your inferior laws in this superior King's Bench Magistrate Court tonight. So there, that's enough said about that. So let's roll on. This is a video here explaining everything about I think it's Freemason Rothschilds, that all that lot. That's the compass and everything to make titles out of on land, higher laws, draconian laws. Carry on, keep on. We'll try and flick through now. And here is the people of Tokoro that's Tokoro Island there. So those are the people that I haven't had a chance to look at their backgrounds. I've just put them there because I don't know which side they're on at this stage, whether they're on the government side against that chief that you saw in the video, or they're on the chief side. I think they're on the government side. They're the ones doing the jabby business and not on that fellas, those two fellas that were on the video, not on their side. So his own people are doing it to their own people and splitting them up and putting devastation on them because they're taking the bribe money. They're taking the blood money. So there's more on the Tokoro there, plenty to read there. But I'm using this as evidence in this court tonight to put the debt and the criminal organization right on top of their head. Here, all that lot there that's been marked there, captured in real time and frozen it in time on this court hearing as evidence and future reference to say what happened to all our people and generations that were knocked out off this planet, and those people never had a chance to have a life. It was taken from them. I'm here for all those people in Tokoro that have lost their families, and all the Pacific people that have lost their families, that have died from these poisons. I call them poisons, not tested, and giving out and coercing people to take it, like these Maoris on the marae that are taking the bribe money and doing it for the hell of the money and the government giving them power of everything. There, just how evil. Oh, there's your letter, Andy. There, I'll put yours there. So that it's a statement from you of those poor people and what the government has done to them, it's marked. This is locked in this court as a statement from you and a statement from me on behalf of those poor people that are suffering and harmed and injured on Tokoro Island. So there, Liz Gunn, this one's for you, making all your efforts to help these people on that island. Now, this guy here, here's a Maori. Whoa. This is Robert Mahuta. His real name is an Ormsby. So there, they dicked around and changed the surnames to make it Maori, so that they can take your native title off you. This is one of the thugs. His photo is here in this court tonight. He's got £1 trillion on his head for being part of the scammy business of making this Maori myth and narrative work for their business. And the Tainui king of Tainui, the same with his photo in one of the court hearings, is there running their scammy business using Maori as their tool weapon of destruction of the Maori people. So there's some more I've written up myself. These are all my own words, but we'll carry on. It's just that we're using this martial law of the kings to go over the top of the government's martial law and shut them out and put everything in a martial law on top of their heads tonight. Here's our expenses and estimated costs. This is British law on how much to charge them. We can put any price on their heads. So there's Kate Ardern, Laurel Ardern, letter to the Governor General. I'll put this here again, so that it's locked here in this court hearing tonight, and to Westminster there. Letter to Jacinda. There's Liz Gunn. Go back a bit, roll back. I want to give her credit for being a news media, a true media, left the news where she worked before, New Zealand News TV, and worked as an independent news, true news, with this as the guy here. I put his photo here as injured and split up, and Liz Gunn is trying to get help to him, like mobile phones that have been taken off them, and credit to get credit to get on the mobile to give out their message to keep in touch. So I'm hoping to help them some way when we get off the ground with Cook Street and cover the whole expense of everything on that island and put them right where they should be, looking after their island and not worrying about foreign laws coming in and taking over their country. So there are citations of everything here. Hungary, well, we can carry on. This is some of the things I've left in as the motu proprio to put the motu. It's the motu proprio that will stop them more than the King's Law. So we've voided out all their acts of inconsistency, amendment acts to make. Well, stop here. So go back a little bit. So here we are. I just put that there to verify who I am, and the photo got corporations liable. Now, I just put this photo here in amongst all that lot to lock ourselves to the Navy and the King of the time, that we've got our authority from that man on the left, Michael Boyce, and this one, King George IV, 1823, that's locked the first contract to New Zealand to sale and purchase of the whole of New Zealand. Every title in New Zealand is this two here, that chief there and that king there. And I'm wearing the king's outfit there. When I'm fully back in business again and back to normal, I'll look like that photo in the right hand side with the authority of these chief here and that King George IV and that Navy officer on the left there, our partner. So there we can carry on. Just to identify where I get my authority from. as a prosecutor and judge at the same time in this court, where nobody can talk or say anything. Hang on, whoa. Saturday, 3rd of September, 2022 at 6 p.m. time, host Andrew Devine in Greece, UK. This is just notifying today. All that I'm saying is true and nothing but the truth. So help me, God, that everything I'm writing is true. And oh, cat got in my road. It just jumped on me and upset my train of thought, a little fatty. So this is my mate. He comes and sleeps on my bed and pushes me off. So there, those are just some of the orders of the highest corporation laws and trusts in the world. He demolished, so that makes them vulnerable and not immune to us making all these allegations and laws against them. So there we are. We can carry on. Contract of debt. I'll read this one. Whoops. Go back. Contract of debt. Admiralty and maritime law is applied to you, New Zealand corporate fraud crown agent thugs, name, photo, identified criminals under all acts listed here, and UCC law, motu proprio, Vatican law, and Moai Crown law. So that's all I want to say there. Declaration of War Act of man-made pandemic deadly killer viruses. So there, some more information. That's what we're going after, to shut it off our land. The threat is Jacinda Ardern and her poison in this court. It's poison. I'm telling you right flat out that it's poison they're putting in your body to kill you dead. So that we don't want it anymore, and we want to have them up for murder today in this court. That's what the charges are. Carry on going. Keep going. So keep going. I think we've gone through enough of it now, and just roll up towards the end. It's just some more against her. So keep going. Oh, just have a little read on the way through. So those are just all the acts we're using, the Trust Law Act, to make our pound note work next week. All of these affidavit videos are ammunition that we use to take them out. Well, stop here, stop right there. So there's me as a real estate agent to know what I'm doing with real estate and land, and King William on the left and the flag in its rightful place of business. The Pope there, I put him there because we're using his motu proprio laws that he said we can use, and so I'm using it on him as well as every other thug, because he's a thug. The whole Vatican and Catholic Church is one big hell of a fraud criminal organization that's run by pirates and thugs. And Jacinda Ardern and Nanaia Mahuta, see, they put their moko on their face to make them Maori and make them prominent as leaders of the scam of Maoridom. And so there we are in a real native magistrate King's Bench court in Epsom in Auckland for John Key. That court hearing was for John Key's scam, NZ Bank and Cook Street, and also the land title of Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau. And so that was that all about. We did that. That was real. We did a few of those court hearings to use one day. That one day is right now. All those at Waitangi and Titi Marae and all the maraes around the country where I had native magistrate court hearings, even on the East Coast where I'm from, in Gisborne and East Cape, I'd had native magistrate courts there too, with that flag. I don't fly it behind me now, but I will as soon as I get geared up and go back to Auckland to do Cook Street. I'll go back on the waterfront and carry on where I was before. So there. So they sold a building. Jamie Peters, that's the one that owned Cook Street buildings before, and got bankrupt and got me to do his titles while I was living in his building, a nice flash place. So there's the Vatican and his letter and his symbol there. I don't ask me what it is for, but it's something to do with his business, as a corporate business. And so I put it there because we're using his law and his symbols on our documents. So there, I'm saying I'm using his documents because he said adequate laws. I'm using his law as adequate laws. So carry on, God. We're just splitting out these counts again and just solidifying them again and again so that you get it. You get what I mean when it's using the Pope's laws are lethal, because he's the one that's running the scammy business with the Rothschilds in London. He's tied up there as well. So I've taken a lot of time to write a lot of this stuff that makes sense for you people, sovereign people of New Zealand and the world, because we're going as one block, 250 countries, to split out what we recover amongst all those countries with people who join. You can join this court when we get the website up and running with the shares in what you claim as a claimant. So we have to pay a fee into the New Zealand Company's house, and in the company's office, a house in London, we have to pay to register shareholders. So we'll be doing that soon and use the pound notes that's in the ANZ Bank. These ones that you see online are already deposited, ready for Cook Street to cash in with the ANZ Bank and honouring those pound notes that I put together. So they mean something to you, shareholders. So there we are. We're getting there somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Those are some of the documents I signed. I just, as an executor there, I'll just stop there. The executor, that's my position as the executor of the business, the whole Maui Crown business. I'm executor of the Maui Powerhouse Bank, that's in Westminster City, not London City. Maui Crown Pound Note, legal money instrument of value against the Moriori Manukau native land titles and other native lands that have used this Manukau native conveyancing title instrument laws and contracts as mirror image title transfer mortgage bank loan lien money security of interest investment bank statement and transaction recorded memorial land transfer legal title instruments. So that's in a mouthful is controlling the money flow from Rothschild Bank back into the Maui Crown King William IV Trust Bank or the Maui Powerhouse Bank for you people. This is all for you. When I die, I've at least done something for you. And this is the best I can do on a pension. And been doing that for a while. I hold a surrogate King George IV private contract with Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau, Paramount Chief of Moriori Punga Hapu, of his Maungatautari Mountain Pasai Pohara, Punga Marae, and Moriori Pupunga Memorial Stone Rock Spirit title of Te Waikato in Arapuni, Cambridge District, Waikato region in New Zealand. My father-in-law, Peter Mihinui, homestead. It did sit next to this Punga Memorial Stone Rock on Pohara Marae, having lived there with my family in 1973 to 1978 period, with stories he shared with me to hold for the day his land shall return to his Moriori chief Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau Punga Marae Hapu. So there, I'm talking for that marae and that rock to King George IV there. And so all of this goes to that. We can roll past all of it. We've already said this before, but I put the land title back in place of this Maungatautari Mountain there that the Tainui King Tuhetia took over. So there's we're rolling past this, there's the chief and all that. We've been past that before. Just putting that, and these are all the threats that Jacinda Ardern is leveled with all that against her. Go back a little bit, just go back a little bit. I just want to clear this matter up. This here, there, that go back a bit, that picture there. This is the west coast of Manukau Harbour. See, it's got that name, Manukau. All their treaty claims are with the word Manukau Harbour in their treaty claims, and that's the west coast. And this is the east coast at Maraetai Beach on the east side. That's Refa Manukau's title in all of these land from west to east in the 11th of March 1862, which formed the New Zealand native title to this block of land. They split up into smaller sections, was that Chief Referefa Manukau under Queen Victoria at that time. That's his title to Puponga Marae at Cornwallis on the Manukau North Head, and the south is in Awhitu on the south head of the Manukau land title on that side that he had. So there, that's to secure Cook Strait title where this all came from with the Manukau's. The two chiefs, Referefa Manukau and Clendon, and Queen Victoria title, and then we've got King William IV and the chiefs up north as the other title at that time, before Queen Victoria, and then we've got King George IV at Arapuni and the Punga Marae. So the Manukau's are tied up. This, I'm talking for them that they don't know any of this because it's Freemason talk I'm doing here as the stakeholder in the Crown business with us. So we go hand in hand and use them to gain our access into the trust and all that wealth. Okay, carry on. So I've written up some more about the history there. And we can go past this. And there's Te Waikato as a woman. That's what I'm saying. In here, you can see it on the left-hand side there. Te Waikato, woman, and instead of a man. This is breaking the British code, criminal code, by changing names and changing the word Maori into native into Maori before it was ever thought of in 1949. That's when the word Maori came out as Maori Land Court, not 1831 or 1769, which they got on the documents last week. So we've caught them in this fraud. This is a major fraud because it changed the whole history and titles to land. So there's a fraud of the Maori changing all these whakapapas here. You can follow all the whakapapas, that's all back to front. It's all, I can say that quite plainly and stick to my word in this court that what I've got there is the truth. And they can't say anything. They shut their mouth and say nothing. This is Ngāti Whātua, how the Ngāti Whātua tribe is fraud too. So the Ngāti Whātua tribe in Kaipara is fraud because they got the wrong kāwhuru as the chief of One Tree Hill, Auckland, the whole of Auckland title, and Cook Street is not that kāwhuru, a professor, and not even a kāwhuru surname. He's adopted the name like all Maoris do on their documents in their treaty settlements. They play around with it. I'm going to go right over the whole lot of the treaty settlements and drop this bombshell on them. And that's the end of that Maori myth story. End of it. No more illusions. No more humbug. No more of this anymore from now on into the future. The story's at an end today in this court and next week. Tonight, the whole Maori story is caught up with them in the government. We caught them at it. We caught them dicking around with your whakapapa here, right here. That's one of them. There's more of that. And there's Kingi Tauroa in the little photo. I managed to stick it in there to fill the gap up with something. And me talking about all these whakapapa and everything on Titi Marae. So he signed all my documents while he didn't sign any of the other incorporation's documents. I'm the only one that he signed every time that we went to Westminster with all his backing behind me. See, so he did something good for what I was doing and believed it. He believed what I was doing. Although he's a King Edward and a Queen Victoria whakapapa, he didn't more or less promote the King William IV flag. He just stuck to his King Edward. But that didn't get him anywhere, really. So there's the tree here up in Hokianga from Moira Hoffman, Russell. That's where the name Russell come from. Her whakapapa is Moitara. And so that part's correct. She can say the right history whakapapa for Russell up in Kororareka that Gregory Cook, I think he said he was talking to her. I lived with her. She gave me a flash house on the waterfront in Rotorua, all to myself. That's where I was doing all my work from. I shouldn't have left there. I should have just stayed there because I had everything at my fingertips. And she's wealthy. Her family and her husband got a property in Tikitere, just outside of Rotorua, on Refa Manukau's or Tira Waikato's property. All his land, all his hot pools was Tira Waikato's playground. This chief I'm talking about, and she knows all about that sort of thing as well. So there's somewhere here of connecting. Here's the east coast where I come from. This is my land block. Go back a bit, Andy. There, over here. You see the 1831? This is not my thing. I just gone over the top of them. It's 1831. They had already been there. The Church of England and the St. Mary's Church registered the first birth certificates in Rangitukia, right on the tip there, right out there, just back a bit from there, Rangitukia. That's where they put the first birth certificates together with Kendall and at that time. And this church, he ministers, the Wanoa was one of the ministers at that time. The Wanoas were behind all the church things in the St. Mary's Church in Tiki. That's all Wanoa's buried there. That's where my family is, in the St. Mary's Church in Tiki. So there, it's a bit of history for you. And there's Mohi Manukau with our whakapapa, with his birth certificate at 1831. That's a birth certificate the Crown here wouldn't take as evidence in this treaty claim, and it just says clearly on the birth certificate, 1831. You see, King William IV, and they turned the blind eye to it and didn't want to know that Mohi was saying, I was here, my ancestors were here at that time. There's the church Tikiti on the right. That's my family, Wanoa's church there, St. Mary, to the St. Mary's Church in Parnell in Auckland. That's the same Parnell St. Mary's Church there, connection to this church. Their origins, the first origins of the St. Mary's Church is that one in Tiki on my land blocks, my family's heritage and legacy there. To Matari Wanoa here, Rebecca Cosgrove of Ireland and Dick Rogan, Oraiti married Oraiti Wanoa, and these coat of arms is what I carry to Ireland and Scotland, and the Rogans in Scotland and the Rogans in Ireland. I carry their coat of arms myself as my connection to my English ancestors, British ancestors right there. So I've got that authority. And King William III 8-point star of St. Patrick that we unveil with Frank McElheron and Paul Brown, the time I was over there in Ireland, to claim St. Patrick's 8-point star and the Municipalities Act to pick up the rent of the land. So that's my authority from the 8-point star I wear on my hat. And the flag has got 8-point star in 4 corners of the world globe as free passage, with trade, bank, and 20 legal instruments inside that flag, including self-government and republic and a federal flag, federal government flag. So we can carry on. We got rules of the court. The rules, they must follow the rules, and the court just gone past, but carry on going. The Bill of Rights, we're up against the Bill of Rights and shutting it down with this court tonight, and put in the 1869 Bill of Rights, Bill of Rights Act, and of King William III, that got legislated into law under Protestant, not Catholic. He took the Catholic title right out and put it under Protestant, and it's still Protestant. That I've got that authority in this court as that jurisdiction of that flag comes from the 8-point star story. That is our story, not the Pope's story, not the Queen's story. It is our story that's true, given to us. It was given to us, that authority, to use the King's power one day when we are good and ready, we are good and ready right now. And we're using it to its full extent legally in this court tonight to shut down this scammy, fraud, corrupted business of the Rothschilds and her Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth, corrupt family. There's no monarch in that. They're trying to get rid of the monarch now because they screwed the whole lot of the people in the world. And from the German side, not the Dutch side, from the German side. So carry on, God, and keep rolling. Those are all people we can refer to them for these stories. Yeah, so I think we must be nearing the end, Andy. Martial law. I just saw it go past with making proclamations to use the martial law on Jacinda Ardern tonight. And next week, we'll use the martial law on Cook Street to seize the thing back into the hands of the people of New Zealand. And they get the wealth that's going to come back to them from every property of the corporation side investigated and seized if it's found to be fraudulent. And they are all fraudulent anyway, the whole lot of them. So Bill of Rights, we're up against the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Inconsistency Amendment Bill. We shut down and put an injunction on it, the last court hearing and the one before that. So I'm just repeating myself on this, just to make it solid on every court hearing that we've just slammed them, every court hearing. And this one is singling out the Ardern family scam and their church business with the Rothschilds. We're locking them up in this contract to us, to me in the first instance, to the Confederation of Chiefs in the second instance, and the sovereign people of New Zealand who jumps in the safety of this court and King's Bench safety. We just liquidate them and make money out of them, thugs, with this sort of power that is ours. It's ours to use anytime we want to. So all these people being contracted to put this poison in you. Again, I'm putting them in this court because Jacinda is driving the narrative to make sure they get it done and kill people and decimate the country and its laws and people and put their own laws in place. They're not going to play around with our laws when we're going to turn it on them and make them subservient to us, the sovereign people of the land. Every New Zealander is in this court, if you so wish to choose to come at your own leisure. There's some more red. There's plenty of red. Heaps of red. That's like red blood spilling all over the place in this court. It's spilling in front of you. All the blood, the bad blood of that court on the other side. Proclamation of martial law, I just saw it go past, but we'll just keep going. I want to get through it now and have a little talk about things afterwards. I want to hear what your reaction is and see if that fella Katipa's come on from Raglan and he can have a little talk about he was going to look for all the chiefs that I'm looking for, the right chiefs, to put their names on these documents to go to England and say they are the right ones, not these Maoris. There's kidnapping and all the rest of it there. I'll just keep doing the same treason. This is treason against Jacinda again and again. I just keep repeating it again and again till it gets sunk in your head. And the Pope again. And so I just want to make it really stick of what we're saying is serious business. We're in business. And that's all it is. We're starting our business. We're not going to stop halfway. We're getting prepared to go. We're preparing the law and everything, the economy, ready to launch off anytime from next week. So there's more that I've been writing and adding bits to whatever I've already written up, but just some more. We can refer to any of those red bits as being law. we're making law. All those red bits, we're going to make law tonight again. And these are words that have been put there by other professors who are warning the government that they're breaking the law and putting in what they're calling recommendations, what the government should and should not do. But the government won't listen. They just pick any law they want and run with it. And we come with the real law and shut them down. That's what we're doing here. We're shutting down their scam, fraud, corrupted business. End of story. If you think so, then you will come into this court anytime from now on to see something happen. So we've got to make it happen. We're the ones that have to make this happen. Now that we got this far, we've been through enough court hearings, we've done all of that, we've got them added up and ready to use anytime. We go and take Cook Street, one bit of land, and the rest will fall like domino. I think we can keep, we're getting near the, we're only on 260 something. We've got to go to 326. So we can keep skipping through all this lot, Andy. We go straight past this, keep rolling to the end. I think I might have a bit towards the end. It's just, what's this one that just went past? Oh, those are sheriffs. We've got the sheriffs to read this where they fit into the court to carry out court business. But I think it's a bit early for them to do anything about anything at this stage. There's this last bit that I've added of the Rothschilds. So there, that's to finish it all off. This is getting towards the end now. This is a long piece of where the churches are involved with the Rothschild, the Arderns, and the banks, and all those people running the banks, scam, and everything. I can highlight in red to pick out all the things they're doing in New Zealand to take it over next year with the United Nations and Willie Jackson, Maori, and all their Maori politicians. I want to try and put a sock in it. And even the Maori Speaker of the House. It's all Maori that are running the scam business. So there. I haven't gone through and redlined all the bits in here. I've got to do. Oh, that's the end right there. That's the end of how taxes destroy wealth. So they do it on purpose with tax to destroy anything to keep you in debt and borrow money to keep you in debt. No more borrowing money in this court. We don't have mortgages in this court. We're dissolving the mortgage and just go back to simple old coins and pound note and digital currency. There, that's it, Andy. That's the end of the page, is it? Should be. There.
Yep.
That's the end of 326 pages, and that there, people, ends this court hearing tonight. That's it, wrapped up. We've got those people charged, prosecuted, and convicted as criminal thugs and murderers tonight of the highest atrocities in the world is right here in New Zealand, leading the rest of the bunch of thugs in the New World Order and WEF Klaus Schwab. She's leading them all and signing up this country first before going to the United Nations and capturing all the rest of the indigenous native countries and kick all the native people off their land after they kick the Maori native off the land. See? So there. They can't touch the native. That's the native people that we are here for. They can't touch us because we are immune from their thuggery laws in the King's Bench that we've opened up and took the gag off and putting the same to them back of what they do to us. So there, we are the model. We are the model country of the world. It was always planned that way when they came here and put that 1833 plaque on Mount Eden Hill that bankrupted America, that I did a video with that lady, that professor lady, I forgot what her name is now, but we did one on Mount Eden Hill to explain the Freemasons' title to bankrupt America from New Zealand. So everything came from Britain to New Zealand, then America, in that order of corporatization under the Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth era, not the kings. The kings did not do all the scammy business. It was the Queen and her Rothschild family for themselves. So that's the end of it. We can end that now, Andy,
I'll end the
and
recording now.
discussion and talk about what we just said
Yeah.
with everybody. I
Okay.
see Jesse there again tonight.
So the time now is 11:50. So that will be 8:50. Is that correct? Yeah, 8:50 New Zealand time PM, 8:50 PM. So it's Saturday the 3rd of September. So then the hearing now. So I'll stop the recording now.